new selection box Super Mini Volume 3 is in the game, and it brings a lot of nice reprints with it, but is it worth investing in? Just like every other selection box, this one has a bunch of nice reprints, and since Super Minis are a super small set, you can get 3 copies of everything in the box with only 36 packs open. By opening this box, you're going to get access to most of the important old support cards for the Monarch archetype, even to play that alongside the support from Zillion Thunder and alongside the new support card Monarch Stormforth. You also get pretty much everything you need for the Mech Knight archetype, which can be played pure or alongside the Crusaders. You'll also get everything you need for the World Chalice archetype, which has always found new variations to give itself some relevance. If these are decks you want, and you want them fast, and you got some dough to spend, you could get all of the Mech Knight and World Chalice archetypes from this box. From an investment standpoint though, you gotta remember that all of these reprints do come from regular boxes. The Duel Chalice archetype comes from Link Revolution, arguably a box that all speed duel players should invest in for Warning Point and Decode Talker. Not to mention the Salamangrates, the Signet Mining, and the Apprentice Illusion that have been meta relevant as well. If you wanted to get all of the Mech Knight archetype easily, it is worth noting that the box that they come from also has Gimmick Puppets and Infernoid and support for Earth Machine, all of which have been meta relevant at some point and may very well be meta relevant in the future. But if you don't care for any of those, then you could definitely use this box to get the Mech Knights since it's so cheap in comparison. The Monarch cards in here, to be honest, it is nice that they are here for the Monarch deck if you don't care about the boxes that they come from. That said though, the boxes that they come from are really damn good boxes. Riser comes from the Shining Sunrise, which has Elemental Hero support, Fossil support, the Super Quantals, and a bunch of other stuff that you might like to look into. While not a whole lot of this box is meta relevant anymore, this box has a lot of fan favorites, and if you go into the selection box just for Riser, make sure that you don't intend on going through the Shining Sunrise beforehand, because you might just end up feeling like you've wasted your money. Erebus and Eidos though come from the Aerial Assault box. This box has some heat to this day. Black Wings are able to get King of Games still, and Jet Synchron and Dark End Dragon still see competitive play in tournaments and in KC Cups to this day. But if you don't care about any of that, then the Erebus and Eidos in this selection might be alright, since they are easier to get in this selection box if you are just trying to play Monarchs. So for the reprints, this selection box is great for Mech Knights, World Chalice, and Monarchs. You just gotta be okay with the fact that it'll be a waste to go into the boxes that they come from after going into this. To be honest though, most people that go into selection boxes aren't coming for the reprints. The reprints might be nice, but at the end of the day, that risk factor that it makes the original boxes they come from hard to invest in often makes it not worth it unless you don't care about those boxes. But none of that really matters to most players. It's the selection box exclusives that really sell a selection box. Since these exclusives are cards that you can't get anywhere else, getting them is going to be an important thing for a lot of people, so they'll be willing to fork over a decent amount of money for them. But is it worth it to do that in this box? Let's have a look at these exclusives. This selection box has 3 exclusives: Terrors of the Overroot, or Toto for short, Underclock Taker, and Celaglare the Luminous Lunar Dragon. Alright bro, they didn't need to do all that with that name. Terrors of the Overroot is a normal trap that targets any card the opponent controls and any card in their grave, and sends the card from field to grave, and sets the card from grave to their field face down. It will target any type of card from both field or grave, so you could send a monster or a back row from their field, and set a monster or a back row from their grave. You gotta be careful though, because whatever you set from the grave, if it's a back row, they'll be able to use it next turn, and if it's a monster, they'll be able to flip it up on their own next turn. So you gotta get rid of whatever they set. You could potentially see this as something not to get rid of something, but to trade it for something that you can more easily get rid of. Which is kind of weird, because this card is always going to need you to use another card in order for this to be useful. If you set an opponent's back row, now you need back row removal. And if you set an opponent's monster, now you need to run it over by battle before the next turn, or you need some way to remove that monster by another card effect before their next turn. And you can't even activate this if they don't have a card in their grave. Some decks can really take advantage of that weakness, just like they take advantage of that weakness with Ice Dragon's Prison. The difference with Ice Dragon's Prison is that it actually gets rid of 2 of the opponent's resources, one from field and one from grave, while this doesn't get rid of anything really, it just switches 2 cards places. This card is also limited to 3, meaning that you can't play it alongside Ice Dragon's Prison, or Crackdown, or Compulse, or Lost Wind, or Floodgate Trap Hole, all of which are way better than this. So why would you ever play this instead of them? And even if it weren't limited to 3, why would you even play this? There are so many better options considering that this card's applications are so limited. That said though, this card's initials are Toto. That's pretty cool. This box also gives Underclock Taker. this card's actually pretty cool. And you'll only ever want one copy of this card too, so you wouldn't need to invest that much to get this. It's a link to that targets a monster that it points to and a monster that the opponent controls, and makes the opponent's monster lose attack equal to the attack of the monster that it points to for the turn. This is an OTK enabler. If you can get a big enough monster and get this to point to it, you can basically reduce your opponent's monster to 0 and go in for big damage. For example, you could go into this in your extra monster zone and make a Rasta Liger underneath it, boost up the Rasta Liger to 4k with its own effect, reduce any of your opponent's monsters by 4k, and then attack into that monster for game. Solid Glare, the Luminous Lunar Dragon, is a level 6 light dragon that can normal summon itself without tributing, but its original attack becomes 1500. During either player's main phase, you can target a monster with attack less than or equal to this card's attack and take control of that monster until the end phase, and return this card to your hand. If its attack is 2400, then it has more monsters to target, and if it's 1500, it still has combo pieces it can target, but it will be a lot less versatile. But this is meant to be some type of interruption. But a big issue with this card is that not only is the interruption kind of limited, but it also doesn't really have a deck it can fit itself into. Since it's level 6, one might think that it would be good to summon from the deck in Hieretics using Atom, but since Atom would reduce its attack and defense to 0, it wouldn't really get any benefit from its effect. This card's name is doing way too much for this card to do so little. This card isn't really worth investing in, at least for now. So this box's exclusives are a couple of really mid cards and a Link monster you could just grab one copy of. Honestly though, Underclock might see some play here and there, but decks that would be able to use it don't really have a whole lot of trouble going in for game anyway. If all you are interested in is its exclusives, then this box is definitely one you can skip. But hey man, these reprints are pretty cool, so that's worth considering this box for. But what do you think about this box? Do you feel the same as me? Do you feel differently to me? I want to see what you guys think, so leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you liked the video, then slap like now, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that bell to get notified every time we make a new video. Have yourselves a good one, guys, and I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't ask them to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake, but it ain't on me. Got clean, so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream, so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon, they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For real.